When the sun went down and the night began, that's when the underground came alive. It's a term we'll forever associate with something very special to us. A video game niche so influential that it has set off entire lifestyles. It paved the ways for many of us to strive for things we deeply wanted to achieve. A once respected niche that, despite unrealistic physics, was legendary. Kids would grow up to be car enthusiasts, and the admiration for JDM and tuner cars would remain over decades. All these games had so much influence on us, but where have they gone? For years, we've been longing for the same experience. It seemed like we had to take it into our own hands to recreate exactly this experience. Our games, along with the movies from that era, left a lasting impression that still carries strong momentum even today. It will never be forgotten. What once was a passing vibe, we now guard with intention, for it has etched itself into the core of who we are.
What are you smiling about? Dude, I almost had you.
Since my car is still being worked on and we're getting it ready for, the ring and the club's wood build, I thought this was going to be a great chance for me to explain to you something about what I am really passionate about, and I think a lot of you are. I first off want to thank everyone who supported the last video. All of the support you guys gave was crazy, and I also absolutely love your very individual and unique story and how you got into sim racing. I feel like we're missing out on a lot of things that I still haven't talked about in that video. Now we barely just touched it and scraped the surface of it, but there's so much more nowadays that we never had before, and it's very two-sided because in a way, back then, those games were iconic. Now, if you are a car enthusiast, chances are almost 100% that you know exactly this intro. It's totally overflowing you with adrenaline and emotions, and in my opinion, it has to be one of the coolest intros out of the entire series. But I think it's funny that even just that little scene of the equalizer and the NOS switch is so iconic that it's basically burned into our memory and sort of shaped our imagination of what we imagine cars to act like in media entertainment. I think even if I have Alzheimer later on, I will never forget it. And that's exactly the thing. The vibe this entire game sold you was insane. What also fascinates me even till this day is the customization this game had. You could customize everything from rear lights, headlights, spoilers. And if all of this wasn't cool enough, games started to experiment with open worlds and, police chasing you, just very rebellious. Things just all seem to follow a similar formula. Remember Midnight Club, Dub Edition, or all of the other Midnight Clubs? It was so cool that you also could drive the car around in an open world area. Now, in my opinion, the physics were never great. It was playable, but the experience and the vibe these games sold you, that was exactly what was so impactful in my opinion. And I wonder if that's because it was the right time and it was something new, or if it was genuinely just that new land that we have never explored before because these games they did it first. Things sort of split in the early 2000s or even late 90s, where games and racing games sort of became this Y2K rebellious thing where street racing, action movies, and racing games, they mixed together and they created titles that were legendary. Just perfect time to grow up. And this shaped us, in my opinion. It made us who we are today. It made a lot of very influential car people who work in that field couldn't escape it. Like, you just couldn't escape it. If there was a slight chance you had a PlayStation and you found cars interesting, or you know, watched those movies and got sucked into this world, you couldn't escape it anymore. No racing game really releases in a way like this and has that much of impact. That just doesn't happen anymore. Me, myself, I sometimes wonder if that's because it's nostalgia. I look back, and because I was a kid, those things just hit harder for me. They hit completely different. I don't believe that's the case. I do think there's a different reason. I wouldn't say these games are completely in decline, because you love Forza Horizon and other games, but this void that has never been filled anymore. And that's exactly how you create things that we are gonna be talking about today. I remember Wangan arcade machines, and I got so lucky to grow up around these because I partially grew up in Asia, in Southeast Asia, so we had the old arcade Initial D machines and I was able to play them. But I remember the first time I tried Touge racing on AC, I was blown away by how far the community took that concept to add all of the realism that, you know, AC offered us and refined it and just perfectionized it. People who wanna have this experience again, and with the tools available, sim racing games that are so moddable and offer us this platform, they are so passionate about sharing their vision of what a game should be like, and just start out of their free time working on things that they put so much love and effort into, and they want the community to just have as much fun as they have with this. And thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, if not hundreds of thousands of people are playing this, and it's known. Guys, it's always the same story. You have passion and you create something with passion, then success is the side effect. Because passion and love for what you're doing was on first place. And that's really noticeable with these things, right? Here is where some of you guys might completely disagree with me, and that's absolutely fine. I don't think all of us need to agree on everything, right? But I love myself some realistic competitive iRacing, AC, ACC, and race room. But I can also log onto, you know, a session of No Hesi and just have fun with my friends, even if the tire model is absolutely not realistic on some models. And yes, they have improved some stuff to add realism. And I know this gets a lot of hate by the die-hard sim racing community. But guys, remember, when we played Need for Speed Underground, the reaction from our parents and other people's parents when we played Most Wanted, and everyone was like, what the you are terrorizing people in this game. It's starting to become a little bit the same, I feel like. Let's not become our parents and restrict kids from this. And I absolutely agree. Do not do this dumb stuff on the real streets. This is exactly why these games are there. If you want to do these kinds of things, go and log on to these games. You know, if you want to bump up the realism, go and play SRP and, you know, enjoy that. But if you want a challenge and all of that for realism, I get it. But at the same time, guys, don't take it that far to, you know, train for real life actions like this, please. It has back then influenced us to get into this car enthusiast journey, and why would we gatekeep it from the next generation? If they don't have a sim rig, if they don't have a steering wheel, they should still get access to this entire world as well. And I think No Hesi is doing a good job at opening this world for everyone. And who knows, you know, you get into No Hesi and then you like drifting, and you get into drifting and you develop a talent for throwing the car around sideways, and that has happened so many times. So guys, these kinds of things, they have to exist. We need them. It's really important, and in my opinion, they're also super fun. There's a whole lot of variety that we need in this niche. And in my opinion, it's just good that there's something for everyone. It's of course never gonna be the same like when Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2 released, or the Just titles, or Tokyo Extreme Racer, and all of these racing games, the old Initial D arcade games, Wangan. It's never gonna be the same anymore, but in a way, there's a new era, I feel like now, where creative people, have taken it into their own hands to create something for us to experience. And if you look at DayZ, it originated out of Arma. Tarkov as well started off as a mod, and the same with No Hazy. It's just passionate people that really love this specific niche in gaming, and they want to share it. They want to make it a thing for everyone to enjoy. That's what we need nowadays, because now we can mix the sim racing aspect with the arcade racing aspect, and we can meet somewhere in the middle ground. And even though people say like, oh, I scoff at that, it's arcade racing or whatever, it's fun. And no one should care if it's too realistic or not realistic at all. If you grew up with these games, it shaped you. Ever since I was 14, I was in this. I was already modding cars. So it was like a game like Roblox that I modded. From there I moved on to AC, because once it dropped and once it was out there and for me to explore, I just started modding cars and doing my own things and creating my own games, sort of. So I think we do really need that. And I think no matter if you try and hunt for the most realistic experience of all of this, or if you try to blend in some arcade elements, or if you try to go full on arcade, all of this should be accessible for the player. There should be no restriction, there should be no gatekeeping, there should be no, you are forced to drive this and that's it. People should be choosing this themselves, because in the end, you will enjoy what you will enjoy. Don't let anyone tell you what to play and dictate what you have to do. Just do whatever you like to do, because it's in the end your free time and your own journey that you will be going on. So you will decide what you prefer, and if that is realism or arcade elements, it's entirely up to the player. However, I do hope that all of this brings people, and especially the next generation, together again to get into the car community and into the car culture, and to enjoy all of these things, to grow up with this, and then, you know, develop this hobby, this insane hobby, and lose a lot of money later on. Because I took a long break from racing games, and later on I came back because of Gran Turismo Sport. I just enjoyed making liveries, but somehow I started online racing and it sucked me in. It was so much fun just to race against people all around the world at every hour, basically, that at some point I got curious, like, what is iRacing like? Because people say that's like the top of competitive online racing, and that's how I got to iRacing then. Since arcade racing has sort of died out over the years, sadly it's completely different now. People take it into their own hands to give you that experience that we have experienced as kids. And you can just load up a server, join your friends on Touge Union, and battle it out on a mountain, right? There's something that you can do now with the physics of AC, with physics that you can modify in suspension, tires, and whatnot you can change in the game, right? All of that is available for you to explore, and I highly recommend that if you have never tried any of this out, AC is not that expensive. And if you are an OG Need for Speed Underground fan, or you like Test Drive, or all of these old games, right? Juiced and Import Tuner Challenge, Tokyo Extreme Racer, I don't know, so many things, right? Just go and check out AC. There's something for you, especially if you already have a wheel. big shout out to all of the indie developers, AA developers, or even if there's still some AAA developers that try to keep the vibe alive. But what do you guys think? Is this all just the nostalgia that makes us think all of these things, or has it really changed that much? One thing is definitely noticeable, that we try to keep this vibe and take it to the next level, to add realism where we can, or not add realism and keep things arcade. I think it's beautiful that we can just choose that for ourselves nowadays. It's not as popular and iconic as it used to be back then, but it's definitely out there for people to explore. And I think it's also a great way for the next generation to get into this. Even if they don't have a rig and a steering wheel, they will have a controller or anything that they can get into. And I played Live for Speed back then with my dad's RC controller pad simulator thing, and you know, that's how I got into it as well. So you know, we can't forget that, because in the end we also don't want to be completely alone in this void, and we just don't have anyone new to come, right? So yeah, anyways, I want to give you guys a big shout out as well, because I love to read your own personal experience and you share that with us. I absolutely love that, and I read most of them, and it's just, to me, someone who comes from like platforms that are so not personal, right, like Instagram or TikTok, because I usually just do cosplay, to read that and read your guys' experience is amazing. That's exactly what I want to do with these videos, to make content where you guys, you can, you know, dive deep into your own memories and reflect on those memories and have sort of like a little time travel in your head, you know, because you can relate to this. That makes me really happy that I'm able to achieve that. So thank you so much for the support. The car is being prepared for a lot of track driving. We're doing the club sport build. I keep you guys updated on that, because there's a whole story that we want to write up with that as well, and I can't tell you too much about it yet, but yeah, you will see in the next videos. I'm super excited to share all of this with you guys, and yeah, but yeah guys, see you until the next video, and thank you so much. Until then, bye bye.